Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call to order the Cuyahoga County Council regular meeting for Tuesday, October 22nd, 2013. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Calling the roll, Mr. Gallagher. Here. Mr. Schron?
Here.
Ms. Conwell?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Ms. Simon?
Here.
Mr. Greenspan?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Brady?
Here.
Mr. Germana?
Here.
And Ms. Conley?
Here.
There is a quorum.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For our minute of silent meditation this evening, we all reflect on our own personal reflections. Before we move on to item 5, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda as to resolutions numbers 2013 0211 and 2013 0212 for third reading adoption. They will be added after item 16, so I so move.
Second.
I moved and seconded by Mr. Schron to amend the agenda. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. This was sort of a computer glitch, and so this will correct it. The minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. Comments. Anyone sign in for comments related to the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, 2 persons. William Clarence Marshall. You'd step to the podium, state your name.
Mr. Marshall, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is William Marshall. I'm a resident of this county, specifically East Cleveland. I am here in my official capacity today as Secretary of the Karl Stokes Brigade, and we would like to read a letter thus. Dear Council President Connolly and all Cuyahoga County Council members, the Karl Stokes Brigade calls for the full participation of the African American community in the development and operation of the proposed county hotel to be constructed on the site, 1219 Ontario Street, of the current Cuyahoga County Public Administration Building slated for demolition. On Sunday, October 13, 2013, the Karl Stokes Brigade unanimously approved the following demands. 1. Full participation of African American workers and contractors in the demolition of the existing building. 2, full participation of African American workers and contractors in all aspects of the construction of the new hotel. 3, full participation of African Americans in the operation of the hotel, whether leased to the Hilton Corporation or any other organization. Inclusion and participation implies contractors, suppliers, goods and services, transportation, parking, hourly wage workers, general management up to the executive/senior level general management. As African Americans constitute 1/3 of the county population, the Karl Stokes Brigade holds that anything less would be discriminatory exclusion propagated against the African American community. A delegation of community representatives requests to meet with you personally regarding this and other issues of exigent concern at your earliest convenience. Sincerely, and signed by James Barrett, President, David Patterson, Vice President, Bert Jennings, Founder, William Clarence Marshall, Secretary. Thank you.
Thank you. And is there someone else signed in?
Michelle Asher with Greystone.
Mr. Marshall, we all comment. You have a great voice.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My name is Michelle Asher. I'm with Greystone Properties. I'm the COO, and we're the owners and managers of the Halley warehouse building. I've been here the last 2 meetings. I've talked to you guys the last 2 meetings. I've written a letter. Hopefully, I've addressed all your concerns. We've spent a lot of time and a lot of money preparing the lease for this building for this consolidation move. We've moved 2 tenants to prepare for this move. All of this was before you let us know that, and this was after the first reading, when we found out that some of you had opposition to this building. So I just want you to know, I think that this is a very viable option for the consolidation. It saves the taxpayers a lot of money. It's very practical in a lot of ways, and we hope you'll consider our proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Asher. All right, anyone else signed in?
Yes, Madam President, one more. Charles Bibb.
I love you, Mr. Bibb, but Marshall got a better voice than you got.
I love you too, Judge. Madam President, that's Charles E. Bibb Sr. The lady read the name? That's Senior Bibb. Don't get me mixed up with my son. I'm here today to speak on behalf of the Ohio 8th District Black Caucus. I understand we're going to go into the hotel business. Since this is going to be a joint venture, and the county is going to own this building, what I'm told. I haven't had a chance to read anything. And I want to make sure that we are in this together. We represent African Americans, 1/3 of this county, so we want 1/3 of everything coming up. And let me share with you the purpose of the Ohio 8th House District Black Caucus. The organization of African Americans in the Ohio 8th House District ensures that African American issues are addressed at the federal, state, county, and the General Assembly level in the state of Ohio. The current areas of concentrations are employment, health care, voter suppression, criminal justice system, housing, foreclosure, business development, and education. I'm here concerning business development. So looking forward to all of us working together and making this great city greater. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bibb, and I hope that you will stay. We'll be having a presentation this evening on the agenda regarding the hotel.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
No, Madam Chair.
All right, the item 6, the approval of the minutes. The minutes of the Committee of the Whole of October the 8th, 2013 are in your packet, as are the minutes for the regular meeting of October the 8th. If everyone has had an opportunity to review those minutes, I'll entertain a motion to adopt them as read. Motion approved. Second. Moved by Mr. Germana and seconded by Ms. Conwell. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Have it. I don't have any announcements this evening. I'm going to defer my time to Mr. Applebaum, who can always take a couple extra minutes.
You've started early. Well, thank you. I was asked to come here today and just make a very brief presentation on where we stand on the hotel project. And I will make this briefer than normal. Although in the coming weeks, we'll have a lot of work to do coming up on the hotel. So what I wanted to do, I have a few slides here, just to talk about where we are on the hotel project right now, to talk a little bit about some of the items that will be coming before you as a council. And I will mention our inclusion initiative as part of this presentation, because I think it is a timely issue and something that I think you'll be pleased by the way we've started to address this. Let me begin by just telling you a little bit about where we are on the program. As you know, we're in the process right now of bringing various parties together. We have initiated our design efforts, our programming efforts, and this is an interactive process. We have a lot of moving parts, a lot of people, because we're trying to balance program, scope, schedule, budget to really figure out everything we need to know as we move forward. Where we stand right now is the following. We have a program out there that we're designing to. It basically involves 665 guest room bays. So in the tower, there'll be 665 guest room bays. Now, right now, the current configuration of those bays is 600 guest rooms. The additional bays are for suites. So you have, as you've seen in convention center hotels, you'll have many spaces that are suites, whether they are the presidential suite, junior suites or other suites, we have multiple bay units. And we're still working out the final configuration of that, but there are 665 guest room bays that'll have a minimum of 600 guest rooms as we're developing it right now. In the original design presentation, and it really wasn't a presentation, it was a massing model. The only thing that has ever been presented to the public was a massing model that basically showed a 3 or 4 story podium with a 16-story L-shaped tower on top of it. I will tell you right now, and you'll see this in November, but we are looking at various tower designs right now, and I will tell you that, you know, I suppose the most iconic or the most impressive of those designs actually has a tower that extends 27 stories above the podium. It's impressive. It's a smaller tower, but you know, it affords great views. We don't know whether we're yet going to have that 27-story tower, but it'll be somewhere between the 16-story L shape and a taller tower which has less of an L. And this all gets into the issue of cost, the views, the image which is presented, but it's all part of the design process. All the designs, though, are extremely, you'll see when we make the design presentation, all of them are ambitious designs. They all are iconic. They all are of great interest and will make great designs for the project. The public space right now in the building consists of approximately 55,000 square feet of meeting space. It includes a 22,500 square foot grand ballroom, a 13,500 square foot junior ballroom, and additional meeting space. It's critical that the hotel have its own great meeting space because of the way these convention center and its convention center hotel work. While you have one big event in one, the other one is planning for their events, so they're setting up so you have events going back and forth between the two to maximize your participation in meetings at these buildings. Right now, we are looking for a significant 3-meal restaurant. That restaurant will have walkout space and access to West Mall Drive. It'll activate the area. We are looking at lobby bar and lounge configuration that will activate the street. We are looking at additional retail opportunities, whether it's another food and beverage or something else as part of the plan. We're looking at other possibilities. We're not going to be able to put all these in the building, but we are looking at a possible green roof on top of the podium to extend what you have on the malls. We're looking at a possible rooftop opportunity all the way at the top of the building. These are all ideas that are being incorporated. We're checking them out. We won't be able to do everything, but there's many great ideas that are still a part of the program that we'll be presenting to you. Right now, the below grade parking, there's different configurations. We think right now it's at around 280 spaces below grade. We do believe that there's additional parking analysis and traffic analysis that's needed for not just this, but surrounding projects. We're actually talking with the Group Plan Commission about some additional studies that we think are needed for this. The building itself has a total area right now of approximately 691,000 square feet. That is subject to adjustment based on program, based on budget, but that's a snapshot as to where we are right now. As you'll see in a few minutes in our design schedule, it's our intention to come before you on November 12th, and that will be the first actual presentation of design. We're going through design right now. We are crunching the numbers, crunching everything, making sure we have designs that are achievable in terms of budget. But on November 12th, that will be the first real public unveiling of design, and we'll do it in the context of a meeting before you. So that's where we are in terms of program. I showed you this before, and this was the conceptual schedule. We had this at the last work session where I talked about how all these selections would be made. And I'm going to come through this in a minute, but I told you at that time that the order of selection is we had to select our criteria architect, or at least make our recommendations for council approval. We would then select the operator brand. We would then select the design builder. We would then be negotiating the cooperative agreement. Those are the critical elements. And just to take you where we are right now, we have gone through the process of making recommendations, and these have all been publicly announced. And I've talked to some of you about this. But the operator brand, we went through a selection process to recommend Hilton, and that was a process where we started with 6, basically semi-finalists, went to a couple finalists, and selected Hilton for a variety of reasons. And so they are, and this is their, by the way, this is their flagship Hilton Hotels brand for these types of products. You know that our criteria architect was Cooper Carey, and recently we went through a very robust process to select our design builder, which is a joint venture of Turner, Ozan, and VAA, and we'll come back to that in a second, just to see how these set up. The idea here, of course, is we have the county as the owner, Hilton is the operator. We function I function as your owner's rep with my team, and I'm going to introduce someone with that team in a second to you. Cooper Carey is the design architect. They have a series of sub-consultants who are engineers. The design build team, Turner Ozan, will have an architect of record, which is VOA, is the architect of record. They will have their own sub-consultants, but many of the engineering sub-consultants who start with Cooper Carey will actually shift over to VOA. And then, of course, all of the work will be done by subcontractors and their sub-subcontractors, and that's all underneath the design build team. That's where, $175, $180 million worth of actual physical construction will occur. So that's just a little bit about the setup. In terms of the approval schedules and the things that we require to make this project operate from council, this is a 2013 schedule of some of the major approvals that we will need. I've presented this to your leadership, and I think many of you have seen this schedule. But what this basically shows is these are the critical items, and what's in blue are the things that are going to be basically being first presented at your council at this evening's meeting. So there's the cooperation agreement. This is the deal between the county, the city, and the port, which sets up the funding mechanism and the real estate mechanism. And we'll be in a position to present that document on or about the 12th of November. We're looking for final approval on that at the end of November. The criteria architect agreement, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, we have negotiated that agreement. We're in the final steps of crossing the T's and dotting the I's. That you have a resolution today, and it is our hope that after you send it to committee that we'll be in a position to have the final approval on the 12th. The design build agreement, once again, we have the resolution today with once again the hope that we can have that finally approved on the 12th. And that's critical because we commence shortly after that. We'll be able to start abatement and then demolition and then ultimately mass excavation. And we want our design builder on board under contract to manage those activities. And that's why the 12th is so significant, because that'll be the last board meeting before they can actually start work on that aspect of the project. Also on the 12th, and it's not in bold and yellow here, but that's when we intend to make the schematic design presentation. We are in the process of working through our agreement with Hilton, and there will be a very complex and detailed agreement known as a qualified management agreement. We'll give you an information presentation about that because you'll need to understand it. We don't require board action until the end of the year. That actually could even, I would like not to push it beyond the end of the year, but that's not critical really until the beginning of the year. But we have Hilton working in good faith, but obviously the sooner we can get them completely under contract, the more comfortable everyone will be. The other item in yellow here are agreements with my firm to be under contract to do the work that we continue to do. I put in green the bond council agreement because I believe that was already taken care of through Board of Control. And the other big activity that we're going to have to do in the next few months is a selection of the bond underwriter. And that will be a selection process that will be followed up with council. So those are some of the major 2013 approvals and sort of the process we're talking about. Let me just show you one slide to show you how this all fits into the design process. You know, we started with our public outreach meeting in August. We had a project kickoff meeting in October. That was October 7th, and some of you actually did attend our project kickoff meeting, and thank you. That was a very good all-day meeting where we just started to get into the process. We will have our schematic design complete by November 8th and reconciled with our cost, and that will set up, and what I have in red is what comes before you. That'll set up our schematic design presentation to council. We will then, in mid to late November, have another public outreach meeting. We'll start a series of planning meetings that we have to present to the city for city planning and landmarks. And then in mid to late November, we're actually going to start abatement of the building, which follows, is followed up by demolition later in the year. Probably abate through the end of December, start to demolish in December, continue demolition activities in January, and then by the end of February, we are actually going to start with our first early construction activity, which is mass excavation, basically sheeting and shoring around the building and digging the hole. And that we think will start around the end of February. At the same time, we'll be reconciling the guaranteed maximum price for the project. There's a whole process we go through to come to agreement on the guaranteed maximum price, getting our design submission to Hilton, getting it all signed off on, and sometime, what we have in red in the March 7 to 21st time frame, sometime in that time frame, we're going to come back with the ultimate design that's guaranteed, the ultimate guaranteed price, and there'll be other activities then too, because that's when we'll complete our deal, issue bonds, and really get ready to start foundations, which we have targeted at or around the beginning of April. 24 months from that point in time, we get the building completed. April 1, 2016, that's substantial completion with the ability to open the hotel June 1, 2016. So that's the fundamental design schedule. So the contracts you're going to be seeing that you have resolutions for today, and that will ultimately be looking for approval after a committee meetings in November. The Criteria Architect contract, that is Cooper Carey, and of course their services are all of the programming work they're doing to design the hotel, going through schematic design, what we call design development, and preparing the ultimate guaranteed maximum price document that becomes the basis for the guaranteed maximum price issued by the design builder. After they do that, they stay on and they watch the working drawings being prepared. They approve them for conformance with design concept, and there's a series of activities they perform throughout the project. It's known as construction administration. The resolution has a not to exceed for their contract of $6.5 million. That is everything to the end of the job. I will say, however, that their fee within that right now, their own fee, is closer to $2.1 million. The difference is there's a whole series of engineers that are underneath them. Structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, civil, interior design, landscape design, curtain wall, vertical transportation, a whole series of specialty consultants. The list is, there's like 18 consultants on this list. All that engineering will be split between Cooper Carey for concept and then ultimately the architect of record. The reason we say not to exceed 6.5 is we're still working on the split of those contracts between the two. I believe it will be less than 6.5 ultimately, but we've put that, basically the not to exceed number as we negotiate it, to make it clear what that scope could be. But as I say, Cooper Carey themselves, their fee out of this is in the low $2 million range. It says 2.1. I think there's also something in there for reimbursables, but it's approximately that number. I'm also going to point out that this project, it will be new in the sense that this will be one of the first projects for the county that is done entirely using building information modeling. And at the end of the day, this will be turned over for facilities management, and that's something we'll talk about another time. But we're very excited with Cooper Carey, the work they've done. You'll be excited when you see their design concepts in November. Second contract is the design build contract. We had a RFQ, RFP process. We had 3 finalists, teams led by, this Turner Ozan VAA team, which in fact is the recommended player. We also had a very good team led by Gilbane, Panzica, and another team by Hunt Construction Company. These are the largest, best builders in the area. They were all very good. I think actually Turner and Hunt, if you look at Engineering News Record of the largest most sophisticated hotel builders in the United States. I believe Turner and Hunt are number 1 and number 2 in terms of just the dollar value of convention hotels and large hotels they built. So we had the leading hotel builders in the country, and it happens that one of them here is Turner, and Turner-led team. So the joint venture consists of Turner Construction Company, Ozanne Construction Company, and Van Auken Aiken Architects. Their scope is to do all pre-construction services, all the work to set up the project, provide the architect of record who will do all the working drawings, and provide all construction services and guarantee the job. The contract that is before you, or will be before you, establishes all the contract terms for the entire project, including the negotiation of fees, staff, and staff cost contingency. It establishes a cost budget limitation, which is the number that we're all designing to and working to as a target, and it also has all terms and conditions. Ultimately, this contract, and I'm going to say in a second, there's a not to exceed value on this contract, which I'll come back to. Ultimately, we will come back to council again. By March of 2014, we will have another contract that is the GMP amendment, and this GMP amendment will include all of the, it will be the entire guaranteed maximum price for the project. We will ask you to approve that in March. It's all going to be done on an open book process, all subcontracts. It's open, we have bidding, and a competitive process to bid or propose on all those contracts. This contract right now, we're asking, however, for early release of this package right now. This is a not to exceed $10 million, and this is what they will expend from now, basically until April of next year. And this is all of their work to assist us with design, to be doing working drawings, which they'll take over, to do all their pre-construction services, and to manage, and not just manage, but the contracts for abatement, for demolition, for mass excavation and sheeting and shoring, all the construction work they have to do before they put in foundations. And those three packages, abatement, the mass excavation, sheeting and shoring, and the demolition, that's a bid process. So we'll actually be taking bids, opening those bids in the presence of the county to make sure that we have the best competitive prices. So this is a not to exceed number for actual costs. I'm also going to, and the last thing I want to end with right now is I want to talk about the inclusion goals and process. We heard some presentations here about concerns about the community, about inclusion. We're doing something pretty unusual here, and this is, to my knowledge, not been done recently by the county. We have the following inclusion goals. Some of these you'll recognize. The 40% county workforce is the goal that we exceeded on the convention center and really set some records in what we were able to get in terms of county workforce. 20% city workforce, we've agreed to that. We have a new goal, which we didn't have before, which is a 4% low-income workforce goal. And this actually is a goal that the city of Cleveland uses. We've agreed, because we do have the city as a financial partner in this project, we have agreed that that's a good idea, and we will adopt that goal. You'll recognize the 25% SBE goal, which is similar to what we did on the convention center, and we're going to have the same kind of robust process in order to maximize first-time SBE participants. But the other thing we've done here, and we know that right now the county has not yet completed its work on its disparity study. The county has not yet gotten to the point where it can create goals, if you will, for MBE, FBE, but we've done something a little different here. We have gone to the design builders and we've said, and you can read the language right out of the contract, in order to have our meaningful SBE goals and to encourage full and equal access and contracting and procurement opportunities, we've asked the design builders to propose voluntary programs for MBE and FBE participation. This is their decision as the design builder to create a program. But I will tell you that they were very aggressive in creating the voluntary program, and we'll have a follow-up meeting on this, but I believe that what you'll find out is that the voluntary program, which is going to be put forward by the Turner Ozanne VAA team will have goals which will equal or exceed the city's goals for MBE, FBE. It's voluntary, but on the one hand, but on the other hand, once they agree to do them, they will report on them, and we will have the right to take a look at how they have done on their voluntary goals as one of the things that we will evaluate and we will expect of them as part of the process. So we have a robust program, and we also have a way of taking a look at SBE, but also on a voluntary basis encouraging MBE and FBE participation on the project. Now, to this end, we are already tasking the team with coming back to us and presenting their plan for inclusion and presenting the methods and techniques we're going to use to generate interest in the community. We're going to build on everything we did on the Convention Center project, was very successful. But one thing I am going to propose to both the administration and also to council is I'd like to set up a group that will engage with our design build team, and I'd like to have a meeting in the next week or so to vet the ideas they have and to get your ideas as to what else might occur here. So I'm basically going to indicate we do want to set up a meeting, because before we go out to the community and talk about the community process, we want to make sure that the county has heard all the ideas and concepts that will be employed. So I will sort of leave it to both the administration and council to form whatever group you want to, but I would like to engage you literally in the next week because we really want to roll this out quickly, because we're starting with looking at contracts for abatement, and we want to catch the very earliest contracts. As everybody here knows, everything we're doing is on a faster than normal track. So we are challenged here at every step of the way to continue to drive the process, and this is one of the things that we want to do. And I know that Mr. Jones, we've had several meetings and conversations about this, so I know you're prepared to engage on this, but we need to figure out a way with both the administration and council as to how we're going to do this. But I will tell you that the project team is ready to go, so that's where we are on that.
I'd certainly be willing to volunteer to play whatever lead role or part is
Excuse me?
necessary. I'd be willing to play whatever role necessary.
Okay, well, and we appreciate that. We need all the help and oversight, to make sure that we have a responsive process. So with that, I don't know if I did that in less time than I was supposed to, but I'm done. So I'll take any questions, though.
You were longer than me, which is always good.
Any questions of Mr. Applebaum? Yes, go on.
I would just like if you could send us over an electronic copy of what you presented today.
I shall. Can I also, I forgot to do something.
Oh, no.
Ellis, could you just come up here for a second? I'm sorry. Some of you have met Ellis Katz, but I do want to introduce him to you because you'll be seeing him for a long time. And I just have a 1-minute story about Mr. Katz, who when we did all of the, when we had the 17 design professionals come to Cleveland and propose, one of the most accomplished firms in the world that does convention center hotels is John Portman. And I know you've all heard of Portman, a huge developer, architectural firm. They did the original, if you've ever been to Atlanta, and they have the Hyatt there, which has the huge atrium and the glass elevators that became one of the famous first convention hotels. That was Portman. Embarcadero Center in San Francisco was Portman. Ellis was one of the 8 partners and the lead design partner, or a lead design partner at Portman for hotels. He'd been designing hotels all over the country in China. He was actually born in South Euclid, Ohio, and has been in Atlanta for almost 20 years and had this real desire to come back and bring Portman back to Cleveland because he always wanted to build a convention center hotel in Cleveland. So he brought his team in. They did a great job. They were shortlisted. They came down to the final 3, but they didn't get the job. Cooper Carey got the job. Ellis was brokenhearted. I talked to Ellis about it. He was very upset he didn't get to design and build a hotel in Cleveland. But after we got to talking about it, I told him you actually could build a hotel in Cleveland. You just would work not for Portman anymore. So one thing led to another, and we were fortunate enough. I've hired Ellis. Ellis is now a director at PMC. He is well known throughout the entire industry. Everybody knows Ellis in this industry. He knows more about building hotels and designing hotels than most people would ever know in a lifetime. He's been an extraordinarily valuable resource. So he is part of our team, and he's helping me to drive the process, and he's really a nationally known expert. So, and he also really looks good, I think, with the beard and the glasses and the bald head. So he fits in pretty well. So I just wanted to introduce you to Ellis Katz, because you'll be seeing him a lot over the next few years as part of our team. So that's the other part I forgot to do.
Madam
Yes,
President?
Mr. Miller.
That kind of brings me to my question, which is, could you explain the different roles that VAA, Cooper, Carey, and Mr. Katz are going to play? They're all architects.
Well,
What do they do?
I can. And the first thing I will tell you that although Mr. Katz is an architect, he will, the one thing he's not going to do on this project, I can assure you, is he will not draw. What he's going to do is working with me, he will let other people will draw, other people will design, and he will help to critique, poke holes in, manage, challenge, but he's the owner's rep. He's part of my team, just like Steve Zanoni, who you've known on the administration building. Now our role is a little bit more intense because we are running the process, but he is not, although he is an architect and is a designer of hotels, he has a different role here. In terms of on the Turner team, VAA, not VOA, VAA, I always get mixed up as Van Auken or Van Aken, but Jill Van Aken's firm, she'll have the same role that she had on the convention center, and she really is an expediter. She doesn't draw, she doesn't design, she sort of makes sure on behalf of the design build team, she coordinates the work of VOA with Turner. So she has an expediting role, and she has a different role. In terms of the true design of the project, the conceptual design of the project, that is Cooper Carey. They are the ones who truly do all the concept design of the project, and they are the designers of the job. And they are, they work for the county, so our design concepts are not compromised by anybody else. They are true to the county, and they make sure that our design concepts are there. They're looking out for the county's interest in the conceptual design, and of course they have to implement Hilton's program. At a point in time when the concept design is fixed, Turner, through their architect of record, VOA, that is a production, that's a production architect. They take concept design and they convert it into working drawings. So you have drawings that show all the concepts, show all the design ideas, but those are not buildable drawings. What you have to do is take those and convert them into, with appropriate information so that a contractor can build off of them. That's called preparing working drawings. That's production. And the reason we keep that with the design build team is, frankly, we want the design build team to be responsible for that, because if there's errors or omissions or problems, that's up to the design build team to take care of. So it's sort of a shift of liability, but also it helps them to coordinate directly with that architect of record. We watch over that. Mr. Katz, on behalf of PMC, watches over that. The Cooper Carey watches over that to make sure that those drawings conform with the design concept. But that's sort of the checks and balances of how that works.
And Madam President, just one other question. Could you say just a minute about what this BIM modeling is?
Yes. It's building information modeling. When I started in this business, all the drawings were on paper, and we had Mylars. And if you wanted to find out whether there was a clash between mechanical drawings and electrical drawings and architectural drawings, you used a light table. You took the architectural drawing and put it down, you put the mechanical drawing on top of it, you look down through the light table and you see if lines crossed, okay? I mean, that's kind of the technique. Eventually, we got into computer-assisted drawing, known as CAD. That was really just taking those drawings and through computer techniques, you could make them three-dimensional, but it was really just that kind of technique. Building information modeling is just is something completely different. Now what we can do, and what architects are starting to do, and engineers and everybody else, they're drawing on a computer using with robust with models that actually have information built into them. And these are interactive models. So now what they do is you draw on a computer. Everybody else puts their input into the computer, the structural, the electrical, the mechanical, and they're all drawing on the same computer model. This model is a three-dimensional model. You can actually look into the model, look left, look right, look up, look down, and it automatically tells you if there's a clash. So rather than looking down on a light table, if you have two people's drawings that are crossing each other, you'll see a red bar. Moreover, as you start with this drawing, there's embedded information. I can take that drawing, and if I want to lengthen a piece of steel over here, the model will self-adjust. And the way this works is it's just extraordinary technology. And this is the kind of technology that is now available in our industry. It's great for clash detection. It's great for getting everybody to understand and conceptualize the job. And it's great for having all sorts of embedded information. At the end of the project, when the architect turns the drawings over to us, you will have drawings on a room. And you'll be able to go to that room, you'll be able to look at a line, and you'll, in that same room drawing, you'll find out where your warranties are, you'll find out where your operation manuals are, you'll find out where a piece of equipment was bought. You'll be able to use it for your facilities management and your next model. This is all extraordinary valuable stuff. And it's really where the state of the industry is just getting to right now. It also means, by the way, that that the major players on the project, rather than walking around with drawings and rolling as the drawings, they'll have iPads. They look at information right on the iPad. They look at the drawings on the iPad. If there's a change, it comes right on the iPad instantly. So this is really taking a lot of things where the manufacturing industry has been a few years ahead, and we're now getting there in the design and construction industry. That was too long an answer. I apologize.
Thank you, Madam President. On your early slides, you showed a completion date of June 1st, 2016.
Yes.
In the completion date drawings you showed us on the convention center a number of years ago, you showed a similar type date, but you were successful and able to accelerate that date by 6 to 8 weeks. With the BIM and the elimination of paper, the embedding of all the information, the data, will we be at least having the opportunity to accelerate that date, so therefore anybody that was looking to use this facility could forecast using of the facility sooner than a June 1st date? Long question, but it was all goes back to June 1st.
I believe.
Am I embedding, am I drawing, and my elimination was for a later part of the agenda, but that's okay.
I believe I've already taken that step. As you may recall, the original schedules we were talking about were longer than the June schedule. I mean, we were showing schedules that went out to 2017. We have done quite a bit to pull the schedule back, and we've pulled it back. And right now, I will have to say that the 2016 schedule is an aggressive schedule. So I don't want to create any false expectation. I will tell you that to make the 2016 schedule is extremely, that'll take all of our effort to make that schedule. So I don't want, this is the problem of, okay, well, last time you were under budget and early, so how much earlier and more under budget will you be this time? I understand that, but I don't want to create any false expectation on that. This is a this is a more aggressive schedule than when we started out on the convention center.
Okay,
So-
but you, at one point, I thought it had thrown out potentially, if all sun and moon line up, a May date possibly, so I didn't know whether that was, if everything worked out. Leave it at that. Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
Thank you, Madam President. Jeff, I'd just like to make a comment. I think we all know how important economic inclusion is. The ability to train our workforce to provide economic development opportunities for the companies of this county gives us the skills necessary not only to do business within Cuyahoga County, but to take advantage of the opportunities outside of the county. So there's no need for any crab in the barrel mentality. There's just an opportunity for us all to grow. And it's economic inclusion is something that's been supported by our executive, and it certainly has been a goal of this council. That having been said, I would like to echo the fact that when you pointed out that your goal here is to voluntarily get companies these vendors to submit their economic inclusion goals. I think that was a brilliant idea. There are things that we have found we cannot do as a county government. Over the last 3 years, we could not target minority participation. This county council collectively and unanimously voted to conduct a disparity study, which will give us an opportunity, if the data so guides us, to actually target those minority goals. But with that not yet being in place, the idea of having these vendors to voluntarily do things that we could not even mandate them to do really was a brilliant idea. And the numbers that we see here, if they pan out just as we've seen on the Medical Mart and other projects, I think we have an opportunity to impact the behavior and the attitudes of companies, and we're seeing it now. We're seeing it now. So I look forward to continuing to work with you on the aggressive outreach, and you've already mentioned you're on a fast track with 1 week, so I certainly look forward to playing a part in that. And again, I will leave my comments at that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Applebaum.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. All right, item 9, a message from our county executive.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I will be shorter than Mr. Applebaum, but longer than usual. I just want to say, first of all, I appreciate the comments that have been made regarding the hotel project. I can tell you we're already starting to see the effect or the wisdom, I think, of constructing the hotel in the first place, because if you talk to the folks that are in charge of attracting conventions and attendees at the Convention Center and the Global Center for Health Innovation, they've said it has already started to pique interest in making it a more viable facility. And we are committed to trying to make sure there's appropriate minority inclusion in the construction and operation of the hotel, and I hope it meets everybody's expectations. I hope when we open it, Mr. Marshall will be happy enough to sing the national anthem when we do that.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
He is
He
fantastic.
sings too?
Oh, he sings even better than he speaks. I also just wanted to thank the council for an early thank you for, and particularly Councilman Miller regarding the opening of our budget process. We're under a lot of fiscal pressure, of course, with various factors. We've presented what I think is a responsible and appropriate budget, and we just appreciate the process and the seriousness with which you're dealing with that task. Next, I did want to address something that I've addressed briefly before to council, but I wanted council to hear from me directly. That had some media comment, and that has to do with the situation that we're dealing with when it comes to the collection by the county, or actually by the courts, and then relayed to the county of what are now called REDS fees, the RED system, which used to be called the CRIS fees. And I just wanted the council to know the history of this. These are fees that are collected pursuant to statute by municipal courts for cases that they have come in front of them as members of the judiciary. And there's a certain fee that ends up being collected by the courts and forwarded to the county, which helps us run our CRIS system, which is our criminal justice information system. And now it's called the RED system. They changed the name of the system. I just wanted you to know, because there's been talk about whether or not there'd be legal action, how many steps we've gone to avoid that being the eventual outcome. First, we were in disagreement with some of the courts were collecting this fee on a per charge or per case basis, and some were not. And we wanted to make sure that there was a uniform policy. So when we came into office, it was not uniform. There are some courts where it was being charged and some courts where it was being charged in a different way or collected in a different way. Secondly, then we tried to get an opinion from our own law department, and we did. And the law department suggested, our opinion suggested that it be collected pursuant to state law on a case-by-case basis. And there was an attorney general opinion, which had been asked for previously by a county prosecutor on this exact same issue, and had addressed this exact same issue, and had also suggested that it be collected on a case-by-case, on a per case, per charge basis. Next, we sat down with the courts and said, because we have this Attorney General opinion, because we have our own legal review, and because we believe it should be a uniform system, we're asking you to begin collecting these fees so that all citizens are treated equally no matter where they happen to have their court hearing, and we collect the appropriate amount of fees pursuant to statute. And the courts did not agree with us, and they said that they believed that the Attorney General opinion was out of date. So we listened to that and we said, we will go back and we will ask for a new Attorney General opinion. So we asked for a new Attorney General opinion that was up to date. And that Attorney General opinion confirmed our law department's opinion and the previous Attorney General opinion. Now we're at the point where the State Auditor's Office has already preliminarily cited some courts for being in violation of this policy, in particular our juvenile court. So now we're really in a catch-22, because if we don't enforce the law as now two Attorney General opinions in our own law department and the State Auditor's Office has informed us that we must collect it, you have half the municipalities in the county are enforcing it one way and half are enforcing it another way, that we're really looking at the point where we're going to have a court probably decide this unless people can come to an agreement. So we sent out a piece of correspondence just kind of running through all this history to all of the judges, and we're anticipating their responses. We asked for them to respond this week, and those responses are coming in. For those judges that still do not agree with us, and apparently there are some that are still going to say no, with all due respect, we still take a contrary view. And they're doing that in good faith, by the way. I mean, they're looking at the facts and law differently than we are and than the Attorney General and the Auditor is. But that's certainly their right to have a differing opinion. We're going to be sitting down with them in the next week or two and seeing if an accommodation can be made. If an accommodation can't be made, then we'll have to look at what our legal options are, because we are compelled by the state to try to collect these fees in the way that we're ordered to do. So I just wanted the council and the public to be aware of that. We're certainly not rushing into a disagreement with the courts. I've had enough of those. Also, I wanted to make a few comments regarding, I know a lot of deliberation that has gone on with this council, between the council, among the council, and with the council and our Public Works Department over a very important decision about what to do with our storage space. And I just want to say, I don't want to relitigate it or get too much in the weeds. I just want to make a couple general comments that I hope you'll take into consideration. First, one of the founding principles of our new county form of government, both in the executive branch and the council branch, is that we're supposed to challenge the status quo. We're supposed to look to see if things can be done differently. That's what instigated our whole review of our property portfolio in the first place. That's how we ended up going through this consolidation process. That's why we're moving to a new county administration building, and that's why we looked at storage facilities. Smart governments across the country are consolidating storage facilities. We still do have an antiquated way of maintaining our documents in both the way we maintain them and the number of locations where we do that. So it makes economic sense for us to consolidate in one location. The current status quo is costing us money. There's no question about it. We're not maintaining them in the way that we should. We have multiple buildings. It's inefficient. And what's different, though, about, I think, this decision than the decision that we had to make when it came to a new county administration building is, in that process, there were multiple options. And we agreed with the council that we should be open to all options, whether it was an existing downtown building or a new building. And we ended up going with a new building that helped spur the redevelopment of East 9th and Prospect and East 9th and Euclid. And I thought that was the right, and we didn't put blinders or limits on our consultants. We said, look at all the possible options. And we ended up, through a very difficult but exhaustive process, I think, making the right choice. And it's going to save the county, in the long run, tens of millions of dollars. And it was the right thing to do. With this process, the difference is, if the proposal about the Halley building is just voted down tonight, there isn't another logical option to immediately move into. So we're not choosing between the Halley building or this building or that building or another building. We're choosing between the Halley building or the only other real option at this point that my staff tells me that some council members have proposed is looking at whether or not we would again construct a new building. Now, to construct a new building for a central county administration building has its own logic. To construct a new building for the purposes of record storage, our consultants and our internal staff does not think makes either a great deal of logic or economic sense. And these decisions are going to have real consequences in terms of dollars and cents. The estimate is that the 20-year cost of going into the Halley building, and I'm not suggesting the Halley building proposal is perfect or that the process was perfect or anything of that nature, but the 20-year cost is estimated to be about $33 million. The estimated cost for a new building, at least at this point, preliminarily, is $59 million. It's a significant difference. Not to mention the fact that that added expense would have a real effect on both our bonding capacity and the amount of money that we have to borrow or to pay out. I just don't believe it makes any sense. But what I would be open to doing, if the council is open to doing it, is as opposed to, because that's going to be a difficult process, to be honest with you, if we're directed by the council as that is our option, the Halley building option is not good enough, and the next option is supposed to be an option that costs $26 million more, that's something that we're going to have significant resistance to, because I don't think it's in taxpayers' best interest. I don't think it's also the greatest argument to be making just before a vote on a property tax increase. I think it sends the wrong message, quite frankly. What I would be willing to do is, if the council would be willing to defer that matter when it comes up for a vote, let's sit down and figure out what other options there are. And if there are some other options that would save the taxpayers money and would be in the best interest of the county as an entity, and also the taxpayers, and also those other goals that we have to maintain our records in an appropriate way, let's talk about that. Now, we've been having this discussion for a long time, and some people could say, well, we've talked about it enough. We don't need to talk about it anymore. The point is, we've reached now a point where we're either going to accept this proposal, which is our best effort, may not be everybody's choice, but it's our best effort, or we're going to go in a radically different direction, which I would have to represent to the taxpayers today as being something that would be significantly more expensive. And there may be other options. Maybe there's something that we're missing. So just in the spirit of cooperation that has characterized our dealings over the last few years, that would be my request. And it's with all due and sincere respect for how strongly I know members of council feel about how important this decision and all the hard work that's been put in by council. And so with that being said, I would conclude my remarks. Thank you very much, Madam President.
This is somewhat unusual. Mr. Brady asked to respond.
Yes, I think this is probably the first time I've ever taken this opportunity, but I think that what you've presented, maybe not intentionally, is not at all what the decision that is before the council represents. The fact that one or even more councilmen have discussed the possibility of building new is just part of the discussion that anybody should have when they're looking at their options. There is no way that you could say that we are making a decision between what's in front of us tonight and building a new building. We're nowhere near having the consensus on this council to go out and build a new building. So the differences here are not nearly as stark as you've painted them. What we have is what is in front of us. We do not have a discussion about building a new building, and so we're not talking about doing something that costs twice as much money. And I think that is, I'm sure, quite unintentionally, just not the way that I would think that this should be presented, because that's not what is in front of us.
Well, I mean, I would just say, Councilman, as far as I know, there are no other options that have at this point been presented. There is not an alternative site. And our staff at this point, the only other option that my staff has told me that we have been asked to investigate was a new building. It isn't the situation where when we had the county administration building, where we had the new building, we had the Huntington building, we had the Ameritech building, and we had several options. We don't have another option. So that means we either have the status quo. And I tried to start my remarks by saying, I think the status quo is not acceptable because we're in multiple buildings that are inefficient and are also expensive and also have a cost associated with them. My suggestion is just that, as opposed to before we close the door on the Halley building proposal, that we take a couple weeks and see if there are other options and fully weigh it, because I don't understand rejecting the Halley building until there is an alternative, unless people say they are comfortable with the status quo. But I didn't mean to suggest, I wouldn't say now, and I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying that today would be a vote for a new building. I'm just saying that is the only option that my staff has been asked to crunch the numbers on. And the initial numbers for that are quite discouraging.
Okay, Madam Chairperson, I'll now just make these final remarks. I think that there is a consensus on this council. I would be shocked if there wasn't, that we are all in agreement that consolidating the buildings was what we've all been intending to do and have been on board with. But it is a disappointment to some of us that the lead council members that have been involved in this process about this particular project and have made it clear for many months that they had serious issues about it seem to have been completely ignored or not taken seriously, or in some way, I don't know how. For instance, the owners were in front of us a few minutes ago saying that they had people move out of the building that they had there before, and I just can't imagine where they would have gotten, how they could have possibly have come to the conclusion that this council that this was a decision that the council had already made.
Well, I could just say, you've been in public life longer than I have. People make all kinds of assumptions based on sometimes complete information and sometimes inaccurate information. But I can tell you, speaking on behalf of the Public Works Department, if you look at the number of committee meetings and the number of conversations that happened both with individual council members and as a body, we understand that this council has a role to play. They have played that role responsibly. We do respect it. We take it seriously. And if I thought that it wouldn't do any good, I wouldn't ask for any more time if I didn't respect the opinion of this body, but I do. And I think that we might be able to come out with an outcome that would lead us to something other than the status quo quicker than just saying no to this proposal. If it doesn't, we will deal with whatever cards were dealt.
This item is under item 15, and council will be able to make a decision as to whether or not to suspend the rules. So when we get to that, we'll deal with it. Because if you want to continue it, you would vote against suspending the rules. If you want to make a decision tonight, you would vote in favor of suspending the rules. So we'll do it at that point, which is a little bit farther down the agenda. Anything else, Mr. Executive?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Item 10, consideration of a motion of council for first reading and referral to committee.
Motion number 2013-0030, a motion reappointing Richard T. Prosy to serve on the Cuyahoga County Soldiers and Sailors Monument Board of Trustees for the term November 16, 2013 through November 15, 2018, and declaring the necessity that this motion become immediately effective.
This matter is referred to the Human Resource Committee. Item 11, committee reports and consideration of a resolution of council for second reading adoption under suspension of the rules. This matter has been to committee. It is time sensitive, and I'll entertain a motion to suspend Rule 9D so that we do not have to have 3 readings.
Madam President, I move to suspend the rule.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Gallagher and seconded by Mr. Germano to suspend the rules. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. You want to read the resolution?
Resolution number 2013-0215, a resolution approving and concurring with amendments made to the Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Coordinating Agency Code of Regulations on August 9th, 2013, as shown in NOACA Resolution number 2013-027, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Mr. Gallagher. Ms. Rogers, I'm sorry. Moved by Mr. Rogers and seconded by Mr. Gallagher. This is not your way to get your name right. The plain dealer got your name right. Okay. I think Ms. Galucci is here, whose cell phone went off. I'm glad you're not in Judge Stokes' room, because she would have had you in the holding cell by now.
Yes, I apologize for the cell phone.
We'll live with it.
Thank you. I thought I turned it off, but somehow it didn't go off. Thank you, President Connolly, for this opportunity to present myself again in front of the board to request approval and concurrence of the amendment to the NOACA Code of Regulations. I would like to thank Chairman Greenspan and the Council Operations and Intergovernmental Relations Committee for their unanimous vote of support on October 16th, last week. I'd also like to thank, in addition to yourself, President Connolly, we have the sponsors of the item, Mr. Julian Rogers and Councilman Germana. And of course, I'd like to thank staff of the county council, the county Ed Jerson, Nate Kelly, for their efforts on the Code of Regulations Task Force. I'm here to answer any questions. I had initially prepared a presentation for today, but noting your very long agenda, I'm going to suspend that unless necessary.
Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Miller.
Ms. Galucci, can you briefly explain the item that's going to be clarified?
Yes. At the committee meeting last week, Councilman Miller presented a question which is under Article 4. Article 4 contains items that would require future ratification by the counties. However, the statement that is made in one of the other articles that references that issue, it says Article 4.2 A through F, and there is a preamble prior to A that is meant to be included, but the way that item was drafted, it could be interpreted that the preamble is not included. I had told Councilman Miller that I would go back to our attorneys to clarify that point. They have concurred that that item is meant to be included, so it would be 4.2, the preamble through F, and they will be issuing a letter of clarification, and they will be furthermore assuring us through communication of the other two counties that have already approved it that that was their understanding as well.
And as you indicated at the committee meeting, this is time sensitive, that you have to have this, I guess, ASAP?
Yes. The resolution reads that ratification by the 5 counties must happen within 90 days of our adoption of the resolution, which would be November 7th. And my understanding is if we had to do another reading, that would not be sufficient time.
All right, any other questions?
Just for clarity, the letter that's going to be sent out will be saying that the items A through F will be subject to ratification or will not be?
They're already subject to ratification. The clarification is that the preamble to that, there are 2 paragraphs preceding A that could be interpreted as in or out. The clarification will say they are in. So in addition to having to ratify A through F, which is the membership, it also would include ratification for any changes in the 2 preceding paragraphs.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Galucci. If there's no other questions, we can call for a vote. All those in favor of adoption indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your support.
And we look forward to hearing, another report from NOACA in the next, 6 months or so.
Sure. Actually, it would be terrific if we could have an opportunity to present to the Cuyahoga Council some of the activities that we're undergoing as part of our overall work program, and particularly we have launched a transportation asset management program that is looking towards not only developing a comprehensive inventory of the road conditions throughout the 5-county region, but then also developing a financial plan to support that.
All right, thank you.
Sure, thank you.
All right, item number 12, consideration of an ordinance of council for first reading and referral to committee.
Ordinance number 2013-0023, an ordinance amending Chapter 701 of the Cuyahoga County Code by adding a new Section 701.02 to create guidelines for expenditures of the biennial budget for Cuyahoga County and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
This is a recommendation by Mr. Gallagher, and it will be referred to Finance and Budget. Item 13, consideration of a resolution for first reading adoption under suspension of the rules. This is our bi-monthly budget adjustment, and I entertain a motion to suspend Rule 9D and 12A.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Schron and seconded by Mr. Miller. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, you can read the 0226.
Resolution number 2013-0226, a resolution amending the 2012-2013 biennial operating budget for 2013 by providing for additional fiscal appropriations from the general fund and other funding sources, for appropriation transfers between budget accounts, and for cash transfers between budgetary funds in order to meet the budgetary needs of various county departments, offices, and agencies. Amending resolution number 2012-0196 dated September 10th, 2013 by rescinding item B in section 2 and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Germana.
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Miller.
this item is very routine. It's mainly appropriation of grants and small dollar reconciliation closeouts of grant accounts, and I recommend passage.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 14, consideration of resolutions for first reading and referral to committee.
Resolution number 2013-0227, a resolution amending the 2012-2013 biennial operating budget for 2013 by providing for additional fiscal appropriations from the general fund and other funding sources, for appropriation transfers between budget accounts, and for cash transfers between budgetary funds in order to meet the budgetary needs of various county departments, offices, and agencies related to year-end closeout activities, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter goes to Finance and Budget.
Resolution number 2013-0228, a resolution approving the Metro Health System year 2014 budget in accordance with Ohio Revised Code section 339.06D, with the understanding that the allocation of county funds to the system will be made through adoption of the 2014-2015 biennial operating budget and capital improvements program for 2014, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter will go to the Committee of the Whole because of the importance of the Metro system.
Resolution number 2013-0229, a resolution adopting the 2014-2015 biennial operating budget and capital improvements program, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter will go to the Committee of the Whole, and for those interested in coming to these hearings, the schedule has already been set up. It's available on our website, and we'll be announcing it at the end of this meeting. So there'll be a series of meetings on these budget items.
Resolution number 2013-0230, a resolution declaring that public convenience and welfare requires replacement of box beams on various bridges in various municipalities. Total estimated project cost $1,320,000, finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvements. Authorizing the county executive to enter into agreements of cooperation with said municipalities in connection with said projects, and declaring the necessity that this resolution resolution become immediately effective for the bridges and in the communities as printed on the agenda, items D 1 through 3.
This matter goes to Public Works.
Resolution number 2013-0231, a resolution declaring that public convenience and welfare requires rehabilitation and resurfacing of various bridge decks in various municipalities. Total estimated project cost, $1,430,000. Finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's costs of said improvements. Authorizing the county executive to enter into agreements of cooperation with said municipalities in connection with said projects, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective for the bridges and in the communities as printed on the agenda, items E 1 through 4.
This matter goes to Public Works.
Resolution number 2013-0232, a resolution declaring that public convenience and welfare requires resurfacing of Lee Road from Superior Avenue to Delwood Road in the city of Cleveland Heights. Total estimated project cost, $6,825,000. Finding that special assessments will neither be levied nor collected to pay for any part of the county's cost of said improvement. Authorizing the county executive to enter into an agreement of cooperation with said municipality in connection with said project, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This goes to Public Works.
Resolution number 2013-0233, a resolution making an award on requisition number 27202 to OM Partners, doing business as Colliers Ostendorf Morris, in the amount not to exceed $1,120,000 for property management services located at 11001 Cedar Avenue, Cleveland, for the period November 1, 2013 through October 31, 2018, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with said award in this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter goes to Public Works.
Resolution number 2013-0234, a resolution making an award on requisition number 28353 to Design Builder for the Convention Center Hotel project, authorizing the county executive to negotiate, enter into, and execute an initial contract with Design Builder in the amount not to exceed $10 million for the period November 13, 2013 through September 1, 2016, and to execute all other documents consistent with said award in this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This will go to Committee of the Whole. Now, I have a note from my director over here, Ms. Schmatzer. There is a substitute, and it's already in your packet, so we need a motion to substitute.
That's correct.
I so move.
I moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Germana for the substitute ordinance, I guess, resolution which names the design build company. So any discussion on that substitution? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We'll go forward on the substitute resolution. And this, as I said, will go to the Committee of the Whole. And these will certainly be important hearings to make these determinations. All right.
Resolution number 2013-0235, a resolution making an award on requisition number 28697 to Ohio CAT in the amount not to exceed $1,250,000 for construction equipment, parts, supplies, and services for the period October 1, 2013 through September 30, 2018, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with said award in this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This goes to Public Works.
Resolution number 2013-0236, a resolution authorizing a contract with Project Management Consultants in the amount not to exceed $4,150,000 for owners' representative services in connection with the Convention Center Hotel project for the period November 1, 2013 through September 1, 2016, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This will go to Committee of the Whole.
Resolution number 2013-0237, a resolution authorizing a final definitive contract with Cooper Carry Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $6,500,000 for Criteria Architectural Services for the Convention Center Hotel Project for the period August 13, 2013 through September 1, 2016, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This goes to Committee of the Whole.
Resolution number 2013-0238, a resolution authorizing an amendment to agreement number 1200-285 with Educational Service Center of Cuyahoga County for fiscal agent services for the Families and Schools Together program in connection with the Ohio Children's Trust Fund fiscal year 2013 grant program for the period July 1, 2012 through September 30, 2014 for additional funds in the amount of $714,930, authorizing the county executive to execute the amendment and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Goes to Health and Human Services.
Resolution number 2013-0239, a resolution authorizing amendments to contracts with various providers for placement services for the period October 1, 2011 through December 31, 2013, to change the terms effective July 1, 2013, and for a decrease in funds, authorizing the county executive to execute the amendments and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective for the contract numbers, the providers, and in the amounts of the decrease as printed on the agenda, items M1 through 4.
This matter goes to Health and Human Services. And I still see we're sending money to Glen Mill School in Pennsylvania for these children to go outside the state. All right.
This is a decrease this time. Resolution number 2013-0240, resolution authorizing retention of the law firm of Thompson Hine as legal counsel in connection with the Convention Center Hotel project in the amount not to exceed $880,000 for the period November 1, 2013 through September 1, 2016, authorizing the Director of Law to execute the engagement letter and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
That goes to Committee of the Whole. Okay, item 15. Committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading. There was some discussion here on the panel regarding a possibility of suspending the rules and voting on item 2003-0170. Is there such a motion?
Madam President,
Mr. Gallagher?
I would request that the council accept Mr. Fitzgerald's request for time to discuss this fully, with the understanding that all of council needs input on this very important project. Yourself and myself being the two people that have put the most in, and you more than anyone, that it's important not just now to do it, but to do it right. And that's been our concern all along, and it's been our only concern, is to find the right package to put together to have this done right. So I think we need to, I think it would be prudent to grant Mr. Fitzgerald's request that we grant time, just read this today, and meet this week or next and discuss it fully. Second.
Right, yeah, well, it doesn't require a motion, but I don't hear any other objection. And then it will be on for a final vote on the 12th of November. So, Madam Clerk, if you'd like to read it.
So this will be then considered its second reading, and it will be moved to the
12th.
November 12th meeting
Right.
for third reading?
Right.
Resolution number 2013-0170, a resolution making an award on requisition number 24534 to Halley Industrial Park in the amount of $10,069,265.64 for lease of space for the period anticipated to be June 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2024, authorizing the county executive to take all necessary actions and to execute all documents necessary to consummate the contemplated transactions, and authorizing the Director of Public Works to administer the project, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Germana.
so that we could discuss this fully and any alternatives, I move that we refer this back to the committee of the whole.
That he's referring to 0170, because we voted out of committee, so you want to send it back to committee?
Yes.
I don't think, does that require a vote? We can just refer it back to committee?
You can refer it.
Okay, we'll just refer it back to committee, okay. All right, then, have you read 0223?
Not yet.
Okay. So this will be referred back to committee of the whole.
Resolution number 2013-0223, a resolution rescinding resolution number 2013-0093 and authorizing the issuance and sale of County of Cuyahoga, Ohio, taxable economic development revenue bonds, Series 2013, Flats East Bank Phase 2 project, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $17 million for the purpose of assisting in the financing of a project within the meaning of Chapter 165, Ohio Revised Code, paying capitalized interest, funding a debt service reserve fund, and paying costs of issuance, providing for a guarantee for the payment of such bonds, authorizing the execution of various documents required in connection with said bond issuance, and authorizing and approving related matters, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
And this matter will be on for the 12th of November.
Resolution number 2013-0224, resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of County of Cuyahoga, Ohio, taxable economic development revenue bonds, Series 2013B, Westin Cleveland Hotel Project, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6 million for the purpose of providing monies to pay costs of a project within the meaning of Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 165, authorizing the preparation and use of a preliminary official statement, authorizing the preparation, execution, and use of an official statement, approving and authorizing the execution of a cooperative agreement, a bond purchase agreement, a bond registrar agreement, and a continuing disclosure agreement, authorizing other actions related to the issuance of the bonds, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
And this will be on for the 12th. All right, item 16, committee reports and consideration of resolutions for second reading adoption under suspension of the rule. These matters have all been to committee, and it's recommended that they be passed under second reading suspension of rule 9D. Mr. Gallagher?
Madam President, I move to suspend the rule. Second.
I moved by Mr. Gallagher and seconded by Mr. Germano. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The rules are suspended.
Resolution number 2013-0192, a resolution amending the 2012-2013 biennial operating budget for 2013 by providing for an additional fiscal appropriation from the general fund in order to meet the budgetary needs of a county department, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Ms. Conwell. I'm sorry. By Mr. Rogers. I'm sorry. You really got labeled by the plain dealer. I'm sorry. Did you want to be heard, Mr. Rogers, on this? Or this is for the funding for the College Scholarship Fund, and we've had lots of discussions on this.
Yeah, we've had lots of discussion. We approved the program in April, and this is the appropriation of to support that program. So I appreciate all the discussion that has gone on on this, and I think this is going to be a program that can be transformational for many students here in Cuyahoga County. So I urge the support of all my colleagues.
Mr. Schrein?
Thank you, Madam President. I did not believe this program to be transformational at the time, and I do not believe it now that we're getting ready to put the funds into it, especially indicating that the funds are going to exceed 25% administrative costs to set up the funds, which is a very high for a nonprofit type item out there. The plan is not even comparable to what's already in place for the state of Ohio and the 529 plans. 529 plans have been up and operational in the state of Ohio. Every person that I was hoping that when we got down to the final putting together this organizational structure that was going to coordinate and complement the 529 as opposed to trying to be an independent program This, unlike the 529, is not tax deductible. Unlike the 529, the earnings are not tax deductible. And unlike the 529, that the program itself does not yield a long-term growth benefit for, I believe, for the folks of the county. Thank you.
Madam President.
Mr. Greenspan and Ms. Simon.
Thank you, Madam President. When this was originally introduced, I did not support it then. I do not support it now. The ultimate objective of providing information and encouraging those in our community to attain post-secondary education is a noble cause. This program doesn't address the ultimate objective of that. I don't believe the funds that are being appropriated effectively and efficiently achieve the objective with participation rates we've heard ranging from 3 to 12%, to which we won't realize the true effectiveness for 13 to 16 years. So to tie up county resources for that period of time is not, in my opinion, an effective use of dollars when the expectation there is could be achieved with other methods. So I'll not be supporting this.
Ms. Simon?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to say I'm supporting this resolution, and I want to thank Councilman Rogers for his hard work with this. I think that we'll see. The jury's out. We have a 3-year window to look back, and even sooner when we crafted the legislation to see how things are going. But in terms of the 529 account, this is expanding the universe of college potential savings for students and young people. The 529 plan is great for people who have money to have the benefit of tax deductions and investment deductions and planning. This is expanding the universe to those who may not benefit from those types of deductions and tax planning. I think that's part of our mission, is to try to expand this. So I'm supporting this, and I'm willing to give this a shot and take a look how we're doing, and hopefully include kids who would not benefit from 529.
Jones, and then Rogers.
Madam President, I'll be supporting this as well. To comment on the 529, it's an account that benefits those with a median income of roughly $140,000. This program is for every student in the school system across Cuyahoga County, and it reaches, as Councilwoman Simon said, it reaches across the spectrum. It provides a common denominator, whether you're affluent and educated or those on the lower economic end of the scale. This reaches everyone, and it may not be perfect, but what piece of legislation or program is, we can continue to work and build on it. Everything is organic. It continues to grow, and this is something I support, and I encourage my colleagues to support it as well.
Mr. Rogers, do you want to respond?
Yeah, I don't want to continue this debate. We've been debating this for many months now, but I did just want to address two things. We heard testimony earlier this month that I believe that the average, the median income of people that use the 529 program here is about $140,000. So, this program that we're considering right now is great in my opinion because it's universal. There are no income restrictions on access to the program. We even had testimony, and even though the 529 has been around for 20 years, we had testimony from a superintendent of one of our larger school districts here come before a committee and admit he'd never heard of the 529 program. This is something that we'll be able to target to the 15,000 students that are entering kindergarten per year. We've been working with the school districts to make sure that there's proper marketing, that parents are aware of the program, and I think that this will be a tool that will actually enhance the 529 program, and that as more people begin saving and are instructed on what are their opportunities and what are potentially better investments of the money once it builds up, then the 529 is an option for them to roll that money into. And we also heard in my committee a presentation on our universal pre-K program, which at one point was a pilot program. And we've got the data recently on the effects and benefits of our universal pre-K program. And it's, astonishing on the benefits of providing this program. But my point is that this was a pilot. This was something that was not tested, and we've got the results after many years of studying the program, and we've seen that the impact has been great. So this is new territory, and there's not that much data to show that we really don't know. We're kind of cutting edge with this program, and so I believe that it's going to be successful. There's some data that also supports that, but this is something that we're going to try out and see if it works.
Mr. Schran, briefly.
Yeah, briefly, I just don't want to leave any impression that I'm not pro-education in regards to anything in regards to that, having been involved with school boards, starting scholarships at Max Hayes myself, in our family name, regularly supporting the scholarship programs from one end down to the other. So I wholeheartedly encourage it, but it's not my desire to put forth programs that I don't believe are going to be successful. The 529, even though people talked about the salary of contribution levels, can make a donation by as little as $25. So that should not block anybody from being able to participate in the program. And so I'm disappointed that certainly the superintendent of Shaker Heights High School did not know the 529 plan had been in place for 25 years. And so I'm kind of surprised that somebody of that level would not be encouraging his students to be able to participate. Thank you.
I have serious reservations about this program, but I'm prepared to vote for it. In 3 years, I think we need to do some very, very serious reviews of how it's operating. And I'm Mr. Schran, nobody's involved in higher education more than I am. Probably why I have dark circles under my eyes right now from studying last night. But I think that we're going to give this a 3-year shot. And at the end of 3 years, I think this council should make some very, very serious assessments as to how it's going, and then we can go forward from there. If there's no other discussion.
I'd like to say one thing. This gives the county the opportunity to take a leadership role in improving the achievement gaps, to deal with the issues in education here in the county, and we, as with the size of this county, has the opportunity to again just play a leadership role. And again, I support this piece of legislation, and again, I support this legislation.
All right, Madam Clerk, you call the roll. A yes vote would be to fund the scholarship program. A no vote would be not to fund the scholarship program.
Mr. Gallagher?
No.
Excuse me?
No.
Thank you. Mr. Schran?
No.
Ms. Conwell? Yes. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers? Yes. Ms. Simon? Yes. Mr. Greenspan?
No.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Germana?
Yes.
And Ms. Conley?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, the ayes have it. All right, moving on to item 0220.
Resolution number 2013-0220, resolution approving an amended and restated sewer service agreement with City of North Olmsted for conveyance and treatment of wastewater from Olmsted Township to the North Olmsted Wastewater Treatment Plant for the period October 22nd, 2013 through October 21st, 2033, to confirm and clarify joint use, respective rights and obligations in connection with portions of the North Olmsted sanitary sewer system jointly used by North Olmsted and the county, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Mr. Germana. Any discussion on this item?
And Madam President, this resolution, well, I'll start with Olmsted Township. We provide, are responsible as a county for their wastewater treatment services. North Olmsted has a wastewater treatment plant, and the agreement between them has some confusing language. such as who should pay the bills for tap-in fees. So this agreement, it really is a housekeeping agreement between the township and North Olmsted for the delivery of their services and clarifying how those services are provided. So I ask my colleagues to support this legislation.
All right, any other questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We are 30 years with North Olmsted.
Resolution number 2013-0221, a resolution making an award on requisition number 28695 to Jack Doheny Companies Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $3 million for sewer jet vac trucks, parts, supplies, and services for the period October 1, 2013 through September 30, 2018, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all of the documents consistent with said award in this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Mr. Jimana.
Madam President, typically awarding and selecting these companies is based on price, but our county mechanics were challenged to get quality as well as price in this case. And we were looking for value in purchasing of large equipment. And that was important because the labor, the staff here on the county Public Works Department, there's a certain consistency in knowing how the parts of a machine work from one large piece of equipment to the next. So I really want to commend our Public Works staff for looking at this need for productivity and better efficiency in regards to our maintenance. So we have a contract in place that, again, will allow us to purchase equipment that will benefit cities as they look at their large equipment needs. So this will be attractive to many of our cities. And again, it's just a feather in the cap for the Public Works staff to find better ways to be more productive and efficient with our maintenance needs. And again, I recommend this for passage.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jimana.
I'd just like to add that this complements the sanitary engineer program, and we've got 34 cities that have bought into this idea of using the county staff to do the sanitary engineering, and this is supporting that. Some of these jet vac trucks run up to $350,000, and of course, any city or combination of cities, with this resolution, we're supporting those 34 cities.
All right, any other questions? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Resolution number 2013-0222, resolution authorizing an economic development redevelopment ready loan in the amount not to exceed $1 million to Fairmont Creamery Leverage Lender for renovation of a building located at 1720 Wiley Avenue, Cleveland, authorizing the Deputy Chief of Staff of Development or Director of Development to execute all documents consistent with said loan in this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Conwell and seconded by Mr. Schrein.
The only comment, Madam President, on this is that it's a great package and presented well by the folks in economic development. It's a redevelopment of an older building, and we'll be putting it back into secondary use, and I think I would encourage everybody to support it.
All right, any other questions, comments?
Yes, Madam Chair. This project also accomplishes three important factors for the Tremont area. It not only eliminates major blight for the nearby homeowners in the existing commercial buildings that are on the street. I went out to see the building. It creates economic development, as Councilman Schrein stated. We're the redevelopment stage as well as at the completion of the project. And it's also a major project built in the community in over 50 years. So I would like to commend Josh Rosen and his partners on this unique project brought to Tremont neighborhood. Thank you.
Is this close to the dog kennel, the APL?
Right across the street, that old, it's
okay, I know exactly where it is. Okay, all right. That was the only thing I knew on Wiley Avenue was the APL. All right, any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, the next item.
Jean, please.
All right, resolution number 2013-0225, a resolution authorizing a revenue-generating agreement with City of Cleveland, Cleveland Municipal Court, in the amount not to exceed $1,804,656 for legal services for indigent persons for the period January 1, 2013 through December 31, 2013, authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Moved by Mr. Gallagher and seconded by Mr. Germana. Mr. Tobic is here. Did you want to make any presentation?
Yes,
Mr. Tobic?
Madam President.
Go ahead,
The Honorable Robert Tobic, Cuyahoga County's public defender, was at our committee meeting, and Mr. Tobic, this is a revenue-generating agreement with the City of Cleveland for the Cleveland Municipal Court. And do you have anything to provide other than that?
I stand on what I said.
We saw you sitting through all of this.
Well, I stand on what I said at the committee. You've thoroughly vetted the issue, and I ask that the resolution be passed.
Mr. Tobic, I'd just like to inquire, and this would provide legal services for all the courtrooms of the Cleveland Municipal Court. And at this point, there are members of your staff are involved in issues before certain judges in that court. Can your staff continue to represent indigent defendants in all of the courtrooms of Cleveland Municipal Court?
That's an issue that we're addressing now and examining.
I mean, we're providing a contract where you're going to be providing services for 12 courtrooms, and I'm questioning, are you able to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think we can provide the service to 12 courtrooms. The question is what courtrooms those will be.
Okay. I see you brought my classmate, Mr. Rini, who helped me pass the bar.
Yes, he tries to keep me on the straight and narrow.
If it wasn't for Gus Rini, I'd have never passed the bar. Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Yeah, we
Thank
studied
you.
together night and day. Okay, we have to insert items 2003-0211. Do you want to read that, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Madam Chair. Resolution number 2013-0211, a resolution authorizing 2 economic development redevelopment ready loans, each in the amount not to exceed $1 million, to Parmatown Station for asbestos abatement, partial demolition, and renovations of property located at the southwest corner of Ridge and Ridgewood Roads, Parma, authorizing the Deputy Chief of Staff of Development or Director of Development to execute all documents consistent with said loans and this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Schrein and seconded by Mr. Miller. Mr. Schrein?
Yeah, this is the exciting renovation and redevelopment of what formerly was the Parmatown Shopping Center is being reclassified under a new brand, bringing in new stores. They'll be taking out some stores that are a little tired and putting in some new stores out there. I think it's a way to re-energize the community. I notice my name's not on this one, so if you could please put my name as the sponsor on as chair of the committee. And I would wholeheartedly encourage everybody to support it because the risk is if you don't revitalize a mall like this, it has the potential of going the way of some of our other malls. I didn't say, I didn't mention, I knew I wasn't going to go there. But a mall can become stale pretty quickly if you don't re-energize it, as we know in some of our other communities out there. So wholeheartedly encourage everybody to support this. Please not only just support it by your vote tonight, but go over there and shop there. Thank you much.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, Mr. Germana?
A big part of this project is the 4-story medical building that is just to the south of the Strip. So this was presented at Economic Development, and City of Parma has been approving all the contracts and looking forward to this redevelopment.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, items 2013-0212.
Resolution number 2013-0212, a resolution authorizing an economic development, redevelopment, and modernization loan in the amount not to exceed $680,000 to Playhouse Square 1317 LLC for renovation of property located at 1317 Euclid Avenue, Cleveland, authorizing the Deputy Chief of Staff of Development or Director of Development to execute all documents consistent with said loan and this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Schrein and seconded by Ms. Conwell.
Madam President, this economic development project, it's situated in a very small strip of a building sitting right next to Colin Hubbard in the Playhouse Square area that is not part of the entertainment portion of Playhouse Square. It is an asset that's owned by Playhouse Square that's in the rental pool that they have for business development. And as a result, when you hear their master plan, it's a combination of blending of the entertainment space, the ambiance of what we have sponsored through the redecoration of the square itself, and then an economic development component which has tenants inside there. So when you blend all their fund stream together, this is part of the blending. It has nothing to do with the physical entertainments that we also enjoy. It has something to do with the financing of that. So I would encourage everybody to support this as we go forward.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Add my name.
Add Ms. Conwell's name.
Add my name as the sponsor, seeing it's my committee, it ought to look like I'm in favor of it.
Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 17, any miscellaneous committee reports?
Yes, Madam Chair. No, October 29th, we're going out of schedule for Human Resources Appointment and Equity. So if you sit on that committee, it will be at 12:30, different time, not on our regular schedule, but it is. We have an appointment for the Soldier and Sailors Monument that will be in expiration. So time change, date change, be there at 12:30. Thank you.
And on October 30th, the Public Works Committee will meet to deal with the items referred today.
Okay, anything else? Mr. Brady?
October 30th, Health and Human Service Committee will meet at 1 o'clock to entertain the legislation that was introduced today.
Okay, anything?
Madam President?
Mr. Miller?
We're continuing with the budget hearings, and there will be hearings this Thursday, the 24th at 9 a.m., and next Monday, the 28th at 1 p.m., and next Tuesday, the 29th at 1 p.m. There will also be hearings on Thursday, November 7th, and Tuesday, November 12th, but the times could change from what's printed here. And also, I would encourage all of my colleagues, when you come, either leave your budget books here or be sure to bring them back, because they're in very short supply. So please be sure you have them when you come to the hearing.
And Mr. Miller, we may have to work with you on some of these dates because of the items that were prepared to the Committee of the Whole. Since people already have these times set aside, Gene and you and I can get together and work out some of these dates, because we can't, and plus we're coming up on holidays and things, so we really need to see if we can get all these things worked out in terms of timing.
And Madam President, to make matters worse, I would just point out that the topping off ceremony for the administration building conflicts with probably the most important of the budget hearings. So we got to figure that.
12th?
We got to figure. Yeah, we got to figure that out as well.
Okay, all right. Any other miscellaneous business?
Madam President?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have a question for the law director going back to the Haley building.
Okay.
The bid that was submitted, can that be modified?
It's an RFP, so the whole idea is you do negotiations. So you could always do negotiation as long as the owner is willing to agree to it. You can do negotiations. Yes.
And I just have to say, because there was no time to really have the discussion, there was enough discussion here tonight for that thing not to pass. All right. I don't know why we decided to give 3 weeks. We gave the owners a false expectation that there's a hope and a belief that something may change. And I don't believe that was fair and just to them. There was no appropriate time to make the statement other than now. But I really think we may have just done them an injustice by procrastinating 3 weeks on a vote that the votes were here today to defeat that item.
Madam President, in a way, I agree with you, Mr. Greenspan, but I had a conversation with one of the owners, and I don't think that this is an injustice to them. I don't think we've given out false hope or impressions that this is going to go forward, but I think we need to at least give the leeway to the executive for the next couple of weeks to sit in a room, have him finally sit in a room with us, with his people, that, in my opinion, dropped the ball on this. Not him, not us, and certainly not the people that own the building. So we should be able to do that.
I just don't see.
I don't think it's going to change hearts and minds.
We've been discussing this for nearly a year, and now, literally the 11th hour.
Which goes to our point. But I think what's 2 weeks going to kill?
And, Madam President? You should, we should have not have voted in that way if you didn't believe that there was an opportunity for an open dialogue and a discussion. My belief is that any conversation, no matter where it goes, still has an opportunity for a different hearing in the eyes if you're at least having an open and legitimate conversation. And so I would hope that at least, I can assume that Mr. Greenspan is not open to hearing, but I hope the other 10 at least would. Whether or not they change their mind, at least I think it speaks to the quality of everyone here that wants to at least hear what the county executive has to say.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Conwell.
And I was one that voted not in favor of it, but I think there should be a dialogue, and if the county exec and the president can sit down and Councilman Gallagher that has worked on this project and come to a deliberation of what are our issues and what are our concerns, if that doesn't pan out for the other side, our votes aren't going to change. They're going to stay the same.
I'm here every day.
The opportunity and the chance to rectify.
Every day, I'm available all the time. This is the first time the executive said anything to me about it was tonight. So I'm willing to listen, and we'll go from there. Okay, but I mean, it's communication. The thing that I've been harping about for a long time is communication from over there to over here.
I agree with you.
Down the hall, now we're across the street, but they can still, throw a dart or something across the street and let us know. Okay, any other miscellaneous business? Any other comment unrelated to the agenda?
Well, Madam Chair, we do have a person or persons who have signed in to speak regarding the hotel. They arrived later, and that would be Deacon Lee Adams and Gwendolyn M. Pitts.
Come up. Come on. You got 3 minutes.
I'd like to say good evening to council members.
And give us your name.
My name is Lee Adams. I'm an ordained deacon. First time here, I really enjoyed what I heard. I was sitting back there thinking, a few thoughts came to my mind. We should encourage more young people to come out to these meetings and let them know what's actually going on in the city. A lot of people do not know exactly what's going on in these meetings. I host a radio show, WERE. I come on every Friday from 5 o'clock until 6 o'clock. And I like the way that you all conduct business. Continue on and try to encourage senior citizens to come out and also young people, because people need to know, ladies and gentlemen, exactly what's going on. I know you all don't always agree. You disagree with respect. I'd like to take the time at this time to introduce to you all my assistant, Ms. Gwendolyn Pitts.
Thank you. My name is Gwendolyn Pitts, and I want to thank the council for their ear the last few minutes. Thank you, Deacon Lee Adams and members of the Cuyahoga County Council and the Cuyahoga County Executive. I'd like to tell you what we do on the spiritual airwaves and what we've done in the past. Well, we're going to talk about this Friday. We have had on our show Mayor of East Cleveland, Gary Norton, President of East Cleveland City Council, Joe Jordan, Vice President of East Cleveland City Council, Chantel Lewis, East Cleveland Council Person Barbara J. Thomas, and East Cleveland City Council Person Nathaniel Martin, City of Cleveland Council Person Mary Rose Olcar, and Charles E. Beef Sr. of Ohio.
I was just getting ready to ask you, how could you have all those people from East Cleveland and you didn't have Mr. Bibb?
Well, you got to have Mr. Bibb. 8th House District Black Caucus, members of the African American Community Chamber of Commerce. And we provide gospel and spiritual music, Bible readings, Bible trivia, and Greater Cleveland panel discussions that the audience can call in to participate. We love Mr. Charles E. Bibb Sr. He has been on our show several times. We play his favorite song, A Change Is Gonna Come. This Friday, we will talk about police brutality. We invite everyone to listen to Deacon Lee Adams' Spiritual Airwaves on WERE 1490 every Friday, 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. or call in at 578-1490 with your concerns on the air. Please, we invite all of you, Cuyahoga County Management Executives, Service Providers, to call Deacon Lee Adams at 216-451-1680 to be our honored guest on the show. I want to thank Deacon Lee Adams for giving me the opportunity to be his assistant on the show. I want to thank Charles E. Bibb Sr. for giving me the opportunity to be part of Ohio 8th House District Black Caucus. And like Deacon Lee Adams always says, together we can make a change. Thank you again.
Thank you. All right, anyone else signed in for comment?
Madam Chair, no one has signed in to speak.
Okay, and anything else for the good of the order? Otherwise, we stand adjourned.